Alright, let's get started learning Photoshop. Go down to our dock and let's find the blue icon that has PS on it. Clicking once will launch the program, and let's get familiar with the work environment for Photoshop. First thing, on the far right left-hand side of our screen is our Toolbox. This will contain all the tools that we'll be using in Adobe Photoshop to complete the tutorials. Of course, you know, to select a tool, all you have to do is click on the icon that you wish to use, and then you can start using that tool. You'll notice that some of the tools have a small arrow at the bottom right-hand side of the icon. This means if you'll click and hold, it'll give you a pop-out menu of some additional tools that have similar functionality to the tool that's on top. If you'll look at the very bottom of the toolbox, you'll notice we have two color swatches. These are our color pickers for Adobe Photoshop. In Photoshop, there's two different types of color. There's a foreground color and a background color. We'll learn more about the differences in a couple of more tutorials. To pick a color, it's simply a matter of clicking once on the color swatch, and it'll give you a pop-up color picker. And this one's just like in Adobe Illustrator. You can find your hue and then adjust the tint and shade that you want and hit OK. Be careful, however, that you click on the foreground or the background color depending on what you need. If you click on the background color, for instance, and you look at the color picker, you can see that it has background color in the top menu bar. Once you have a tool selected, let's look at the very top edge of your computer screen. This is where you can find the tool options for whichever tool you're using. When working in a tool, often it has different options that will give you controls over how it will manipulate pixels or manipulate the tool on the screen. So if I ever ask you to change the options for a tool, the top of your screen is where you should first look. If we'll look over to the far right-hand side, these are usually where the palettes for Adobe Photoshop can be found. Just like in Adobe Photoshop, palettes give you additional controls over the images that we're working on. You can always move a palette around by clicking on the top gray bar and dragging. And since these are all nested together, they'll move together at the same time. Some of them have small icons, and if you'll click on it, it'll give you a pop-out with an additional palette, depending on which one you click on. And if you wanted this one to stay out rather than clicking back in when you click on it, you can click on the name and drag, and when I release, you can see now it stays out as a palette altogether. If I wanted to add it back to this docked palette, it's simply a matter of clicking and dragging, and you can see it'll get highlighted, and now I've added that one back into this docked palette. Working in Photoshop means you'll be working with pictures, anything that has pixels associated with it. So the JPEGs or the TIFFs or the GIFs that you're normally used to thinking of when you think of a picture, that's what we'll be able to edit in Photoshop. Let me show you how to open an image in Photoshop. I'm going to click once on my desktop, and you see that everything disappears. Even our top menu bar goes back to the Finder. Don't worry, Photoshop is still open. But I want to open up this cat picture in Photoshop. The quickest way to do this is the click and drag method. So I'm going to click on my image and drag it down until it's on top of the Photoshop icon. When I release, it brings up Photoshop, and we can see that our image is now opened in Photoshop window. If I need to move this window around, it's simply a matter of clicking and dragging it on the top bar along the image's top edge. Just like any other window, it also has the three buttons for closing and minimizing the image. If I needed to have some more working space in Photoshop, at the very bottom right-hand corner is a little button I can click and drag, and it will pull out and give us a gray working edge to work on. In Adobe Illustrator, you remember that the outside edge was off of the artboard, so anything out here would not print. The same is true in Adobe Photoshop. Anything that's going to be in the gray area actually won't be able to be seen. So everything that you're working on has to be within this picture window. If we make any changes or edits or paint on top of it, everything that will print and that has to be seen will be in this picture window as well.